that just an hour and a half ago that we saw on our screen started on Wednesday when President Joe Biden gave the authorization to shoot down this Chinese balloon as soon as possible. Defense Department officials immediately got to work and determined there was too great a risk to people and property to shoot it down over the continental United States, so they waited as the wind took it out over the ocean when it was decided that that was the opportunity to shoot this down, and that's what we saw. The U.S. Air Force launched F-22s out of Langley, supported by F-15s from another location, as well as other aircraft such as tankers, to shoot this down. It was an F-22 that fired an AIM-9 Sidewinder missile, a single shot at the Chinese balloon that took it down. The aircraft itself was flying at about 58,000 feet, according to a senior defense official. The balloon varying between 60 and 65,000 feet, so at incredibly high altitude. That one shot took the balloon down, and it crashed into the waters below, as we saw some of the videos coming out from eyewitnesses. This was an operation which we saw building up to it, the shutdown of U.S. airspace for several hours before this, as well as the ground stop on airports right along the coast there. So the U.S. working in coordination with the FAA and other agencies to make this happen. The culmination of the Chinese balloon that the Pentagon says was a spy balloon that they tracked across the country until it was shot down. Worth noting, the Pentagon believes, according to a senior defense official, that they effectively mitigated the ability of the surveillance balloon to gather intel as it made its way across the country. Crucially, that same official says the U.S. was able to do the reverse, to gather intel about the balloon itself, the technologies it has, the surveillance capabilities, what intel it can pick up as it made its way across the country. So there was essentially the U.S. gathering intel on the balloon itself, although they couldn't go into all that much more detail, Jim. The object hanging below that balloon, about 3 school buses long, we have reported, crashed in about 47 feet of water, the senior defense official said. So pretty shallow, making it fairly easy to recover. In terms of what shape it's in, what did the impact with the water do to it? That's a question we're waiting to find out. That will go a long way in determining what can be picked up. But a salvage vessel is on the way to begin what will be the recovery effort, and then the effort to learn what sort of intel, what more can be gathered about the Chinese technology that was on board this. Also worth noting that the officials...
The world expects the United States and China to manage our relationship responsibly. And indeed, addressing many of today's global challenges that affect the lives of our people and people around the world, demands that we find a way to work together as well. The United States will continue to act in a way that reflects that responsibility. We look to our PRC counterparts to do the same.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said his visit to China was on hold, a trip that had been expected to start on Friday as a suspected Chinese spy balloon floated across the United States.
Yesterday, the Department of Defense announced that we had detected and were tracking a high-altitude surveillance balloon that remains over the continental United States. We continue to track and monitor the balloon closely. We're confident this is a Chinese surveillance balloon. The presence of this surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace is a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty and international law, that it's an irresponsible act, and that the PRC's decision to take this action on the eve of my planned visit is detrimental to the substantive discussions that we were prepared to have.
Officials said military leaders considered shooting the balloon down over Montana on Wednesday, but declined due to the safety risk from falling debris. China earlier expressed regret that what it called a civilian airship had strayed into U.S. territory after being blown off course. On Friday, Pentagon spokesman Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said the balloon had changed course and was now floating eastward at about 60,000 feet and demonstrated a capability to maneuver, but he would not go into specifics.
But does the public not have a right to know?
The public certainly has the ability to look up in the sky and see where the balloon is.
Ryder said the balloon was at an altitude well above commercial air traffic and did not present a military or physical threat to